This is AndyTube. In this video I'm going to show you how to check and reset the timing on a Singer model 353 or 354 Genie or Starlet sewing machine. If you've been watching this series or any part of it, you remember this is Benny. I got Benny's cases all off as I've been doing work on him. But in this video, it's very common type of hook and timing system, like many that I've done before. And when I've been working on this, after I set the needle height and so forth, I checked the timing, and my timing was off on this. And I stuck a wound bobbin in there and tried to pick it up with a needle thread and so forth, and wasn't having much luck. So I went in and reset the timing on this Genie to be sure that it was the way I thought, since it's been a few years since I worked on one. And it is, so I thought I will just make a video and set the timing again to show you how to do that. I'll show you the things that we want to kind of do to start with here. If you don't feel some of these steps are necessary, that's great. I just kind of make the video assuming that you've never set the timing on a Singer sewing machine or checked it, so I'll give you the complete thing, and then you can condense the process as you see fit. So I've taken off the presser foot, of course, and now I'm going to take off the needle plate and put that aside. And here we get a pretty good look at a Singer. Is this better with the light? No, I guess it's better with it on. Of a Singer Apollo style bobbin case. Now, Singer actually called this a rotating hook bobbin case, but any machine they made with a rotating hook, the bobbin case for it was called a rotating hook bobbin case. And this bobbin case is come to be known as Apollo, the Apollo bobbin case and the Apollo hook system. And it's basically just a more modern style of bobbin case than the metal vintage ones that you've seen in a lot of my videos, like on the 301 and the 400, 500 Rocketeers, the 99K machines like that. They went to this plastic bobbin case. It's quite sturdy and it's quite inexpensive. I looked today before making this video, and I found them all over the internet for $5 to $12. And the Apollo style bobbin case has about, I would say, 4 or 5 different parts number, but they're all basically the same bobbin case. And there's well over 100 Singer sewing machines that use this case. And that $4.99 price, I was happy to see on one of my recommended sellers, So Classic, and it was $4.99. But you look around, because sometimes when you add shipping costs, you know, you might find a $7 price that's free shipping. And I saw one for $2.18 with free shipping right out of China, where I'm sure these are all made. So if you're not in a hurry, you know, you could order 5 of them for $10 and be set for the rest of your life. Anyway, we want to take that out, because when we check the hook timing, what we want to see is that the needle, when it's on the beginning of the upstroke, that the point on the hook is dead behind the needle point. That's how you check your timing. So to see all that, for sure we want to take out the bobbin case. And on this machine, and most, well, at least many Apollo style machines, they have this bobbin case retaining plate right here, this little silver metal case. It's got a washer under there and a little springy thing, and you just turn it like that, and it comes off the edge of the case so it can be removed. And when it's turned in, it overlaps the edge of the case, and that keeps it from bouncing up and down or coming out. Once you have that retaining plate turned to the left there, you can kind of turn the handle if you like so that your feed dog is at a high location, but you just basically reach right in here and lift up the front of it, the little fork off of the positioning post, and then turn it a little left and lift it out. So of course it still has metal tension springs and guides and metal attachment and tension adjusting screw. Okay, so now we have a little bit better look in here at this bobbin area that we'll be looking at, and it's optional if you want to take the slide plate out. It's not necessary to do this. You do kind of turn the machine on its back and so forth, so if you're worried about that being in the way, you can take it out just by pushing it all the way forward and lifting up the edge above the feed dog and sliding it off of the retaining spring here. Okay, and then when you go to put it back on, you start past the spring and push it back onto the retaining spring on the edges of the plate. Okay, so let's just go ahead and take that off so it's not a distraction. And if you have trouble getting it back on, you can take a little screwdriver and you know, lift up the edge of that spring. When you get the plate up there, you can just go like that and lift up the edge of that spring like that. Okay. So the other thing, I'm okay with leaving the feed dog in, because if I get up here and looking down in there, I can see the hook point and I can see the needle, right? And I can see them clear enough that I could leave the feed dog on there. But if you want to take the feed dogs off, of course, you loosen the two screws back here, the little awkward screws down there, here and here, and take the feed dog off. Okay, matter of fact, I'm going to do that. I'll show you how to take one screw out, and then I'll take the other, but then maybe you'll end up getting a better view of the whole thing here on camera. So I usually lift up the pressure bar, get a well-fitting screwdriver in there, and they can be pretty firmly in there. They're not big screws and they're not long screws. But the whole thing with this is it's awkward to get the screwdriver in there for a good fit on the head of the screw, and that's where usually people get into trouble. And like I said, if you have a Genie in front of you right now, or if you look at it later, I think you'll be able to see under the feed dog where the needle goes down and the hook point comes around. And you may not need to do this. So there's one screw, right? Let me take the other screw out and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to raise up the needle bar now and take that feed dog out. So you see, you still have this plate here that has the positioning finger for the bobbin case, right? Just like that. So it still kind of blocks the view down in here, but you do get a better view of the area without the feed dog. And if you take this plate off, these 3 screws, and take it off, you're going to mess up the you will mess up the thread clearances around it and have to reset all that. And I have not done a video of that, and I have not seen one on YouTube about that. So don't mess with this, really. I don't think you'll need to. Okay, so to check your timing, it's basically you must have your needle bar set to the right height. That's part of it, because the needle bar and the needle is involved with timing. And the way that you check the timing is you look at my needle bar video for this machine that I'll put in a link in the description below. But there's 2 timing marks here on the needle bar. You may be familiar with that. And when you turn the hand wheel towards you so that your needle bar is at the lowest position possible, that top timing mark is going to be right up against the bottom of the bushing, of the metal bushing, not any of the frame or the cover, but right that little bushing that the needle bar comes through. Okay? And that is how you check the height of the needle bar. Okay? And just quickly, if you need to change the height because it's wrong, there is a clamping screw right there. You loosen and you move the needle bar up and down and then tighten. But you can see the whole video if you like. Okay, now to check for the timing, we have to keep rotating the hand wheel towards the front of the machine so that second lower timing mark comes right up in the place the upper one was. And I mean, it's a very small amount that it goes up. Boom, it's done. So now the lower mark is right up, just barely below that bushing. So that lower mark is the actual hook timing mark, and that allows you to check your timing. And when you do check your timing here, what you should see is that with the needle in that position, the point of the hook now is right behind the needle. So it's not sticking out, it's not, it's not coming out past the needle here. It's not before the needle. The point of the hook is dead behind the needle. And let me keep turning here and we'll show you there's a good look at the hook and the point right there. See that? Where they've ground right into the round hook, and they formed this nice sharp point on the inside to grab the needle thread when it comes around. That point is the hook point of the rotating hook, and that is what's supposed to be right behind the needle when that lower timing mark is up by the bearing. Okay, so let me turn it back here to get it back behind there and make sure that my timing mark looks good. Yep. Okay, so mine was off and I reset it. So I'm going to show you now if yours is that way. Oh, and by the way, when I said that the hook point should be behind the needle, it should be about the point should also be about 1/16 of an inch above the eye of the needle. Okay, so the hook point should be right about where that tip of the screwdriver is, about 1/16 of an inch above the eye. And sometimes I'll just run a thread through the needle and hold the two ends out here on the side, so that when I'm looking down in there, I'll put a bright red or yellow or something thread so that I can see if I can kind of tell where the eye of the needle is, because it's not the brightest area to work with, right? You know, and it's kind of hard maybe to see the eye of the needle especially. So sometimes I run that thread and hold the thread to the side. Okay, so if, like me, you find it was off, then here is the procedure for resetting the timing. And that takes place on this machine down on the bottom end, on the lower end below. Oh, that was my take-up lever, or that was my pressure bar lifter lever. So here on the bottom of the machine, this is the timing belt, right? Goes from these two pulleys. This pulley is the hook pulley, and that round silver part right in the center of the pulley is the hook post coming from the hook. That's what the hook is tightened to, and turning this belt when the motor runs is what rotates the hook. And holding that pulley to the hook post are two small set screws, and in my case they are slotted for a screwdriver. And in many cases they can be the type that has a recessed hole for an Allen wrench that you have to stick in there. Okay, but mine are slotted for a screwdriver, so I'm going to go in and loosen that about a full turn, and then there's another one here someplace. So I'm going to turn my hand wheel a little bit so I can get to it easy, and I'm going to loosen that set screw about a full turn, and now this should be able, that the belt can rotate, but the hook doesn't. Now if your hook is kind of stuck, if your hook post is kind of stuck in there in the pulley, which can happen, you know, you can try and pull on the pulley like that and pull it away a little bit, wiggle it back and forth. You can put some alcohol or a cleaner in there like Crud Cutter and try and clean that area up, so that the idea is going to be you're going to be turning the hook by your fingers up on top without changing the timing belt to needle. Okay, so we've got that loose, and mine is loose, and you can see that I can turn the hook by my finger, you know, quite easily. So I'm going to get it turned pretty close to where the hook point's behind the needle, but since I turned my hand wheel, I changed the height of the needle bar. So I'm going to do that again. I'll just slowly come down all the way, and then on the up stroke, turning the wheel towards me, as that bottom timing mark comes up parallel just below the bushing. I don't want it inside the bushing. I want to be able to see that black mark. That's my height. So now I don't want to turn the hand wheel or the belt or the pulley, but I can turn the hook independent. So the hook will be the only thing that moves. And then I want to rotate it so the point is right there. See if I use my little flashlight to verify that. I got the point is sticking a little bit out on the left. Let me go back. Let me come back. Yep, my point. That's why I like to take the point past it, because I can see the tip, and then move it back, and as soon as the tip disappears, like that, I'm done. So I've got my hook point directly behind the needle, right? And I've got my lower timing mark is right up here by the bushing, so I know I'm good there. So without touching the hand wheel, the belt, the pulley, or the hook, or turning it, I guess I should say, I want to come back down here now and tighten those set screws. Now my pulley has slid down the hook a little bit, which is pretty common. And the hook might have gone up a little. So what you want to do is stick your finger right in the middle of the hook and push down a little bit to make sure that it is seated all the way down. But don't rotate the hook. Okay, mine is there. Holding it there with my finger, I'm going to just push that hook pulley back up. Okay, then I did such a great job. I'm going to go in and tighten these set screws so that everything stays tight and my machine is timed again. So I'm going to tighten this screw, snug it up but not real tight. And then if I can get to it without turning the belt or the hand wheel, I'm going to come over here. I can't get my screwdriver in there, so I'm just going to take the tip and I'll hand tighten this one fingertip tight. So now I feel I got it pretty good in position, right? Then I'll just flip it back up, make sure that my timing mark is still in the right place, and then I'll look down in here and I'll see, boom, my hook point perfect behind the needle, perfect timing. You can't see it, but I can see the eye of the needle is about 1/16 of an inch below that hook point, which means that I had set the needle bar at the right height. That's all that means. Now I'm going to come up and just finish tightening these set screws. This one's very easy to get at, so I'll tighten it first. Don't break anything, but you sure want them nice and snug because it's got a lot of work to do when you sew. Now I'm not worried about anything slipping, so I'll just turn the hand wheel towards me a little bit, right? And I'll bring that other set screw up to where I can see it better and get my screwdriver in there, and I'll just tighten that up. There we go. So that is checking and setting the timing on a Singer model 353, 354, Genie, and Starlet. And probably a few dozen other vintage Singer machines, and maybe modern, and maybe some not Singer too. You know, I don't know, because I only do Singer. Easy to do, very easy to check, right? Very easy to check. And then if you have to reset your timing, I was a little surprised that the timing was off on this, but I've seen other signs that people have worked on the machine, so who knows, you know. But it's not difficult to do. Call a sewing machine repair shop around where you live and tell them you have a Singer Genie 353, and what would they charge to reset the timing. I think you'll be shocked, and this way you can just do it yourself. Da-da-da, and you can do it. You can do it. Thanks for tuning in and watching my channel today and watching this video about Benny and Time & Benny's hook. See if I can get my bobbin case back in here. I've got a few more videos of Benny to do. So at the end of the video I usually put a link to the playlist for Benny. So in case you haven't seen some of the others, you might have missed one or two or many. See you next time on Andy Tube. Take care.